Hey, it's Nick here from NGB. This video I'm going to talk about some games you might like to buy for your Oculus Rift. The games in particular I'm focusing on are VR shooters, as there is an absolute ton of these games available right now for the Rift and the Vive. I've got a selection here which I think is probably the best of that bunch. In this video I'm going to be using a Rift, so I know these games work well on that, but a lot of these were originally designed for the Vive, so aside from the Oculus exclusives, everything here should run fine on both. As always, if you like the video or know some really cool shooters I've missed, then feel free to leave some comments and check out our other videos. Okay, so first up we've got Dogs Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. Yes, I said that first time. It's made by Rust Ltd, limited if you like, and it's basically a gun simulation sandbox game. So there are some other VR games that allow you to interact with the weapons, such as changing the ammo out, but this game does take it to another level with scopes, accessories and multiple ammo types, all of which are manipulated with your VR hands. Finding the right combination sometimes does require a tutorial or two if you're anything like me and forget to take the safety off, but once you've figured things out, twigging guns and messing around on the shooting range is a lot of fun. Because this is a sandbox, there isn't really any other game modes as such. The majority of locations are based around shooting ranges and target practice, although there is a couple of other modes that introduce some wave-based shooting and a survival mode, which can be a nice distraction for something a little different. The crux of the game remains around the guns though, of which there are many, and perhaps one of the best things about the game is the dev support, which is really strong. There's a regular flow of updates and dev vlogs to watch, and you can really see how passionate they are about the game, which means there's probably a lot more to come. Next up is the Oculus first party title Dead and Buried. Bundled free with the Oculus controllers, the game is a hectic online multiplayer shooter set in a light-hearted version of the Wild West. The gunplay is pretty casual, but it does a great job of sucking you into the virtual world by throwing your body into the action. You'll be on your knees ducking in and out of cover in your attempts to quickly fire off rounds and keep your head away from the onslaught of incoming fire. You'll find there's 5 modes, including a deathmatch mode and a horde mode. There's also a quick draw mode, which lets you really get into that Wild West vibe by pitting you 1v1 at 12 paces. The minor drawback is Dead and Buried is only really intended for online play, and as VR is still finding its feet a little bit, finding a match isn't always an instant process. Regardless of that, and somehow without any kind of locomotion options, this game is highly physical and highly addictive, and it serves as a great showcase for what VR is capable of. Best of all, it's free, and what's not to like about that? Despite what it might look like, Onward, a game developed by Downpour Interactive, isn't quite the VR Call of Duty you might think it is. Instead, it's an excellent military 4v4 simulation that, although still showing a lot of its rough early access edges, is perhaps one of the best of its kind right now, and an excellent glimpse into what the genre might look like down the line. If this is anything to go by, tactical shooting and VR seem to be the perfect match. Even the simple mechanics, such as being able to communicate with the ham radio, inject a syringe or flick on night vision or with your own hands, just raise the immersion level way beyond anything you would have experienced outside of your headset. Another feather in the cap is Onward's locomotion. Being able to move freely without teleportation seems to be where most games will eventually end up, and with many updates planned, including ranking systems, cooperative missions and new game modes, Onward is a no-brainer for anyone who enjoys the genre.
Alright, that's how you teleport.
Epic Games' Bullet Train has been around for a while now. Whilst it's only really a tech demo, it's managed to maintain a wow factor and is still in nearly every Rift owner's repertoire when demoing the headset's newcomers. The reason for that is how good the game feels, from handling and firing weapons to the weight and physics of objects. Everything feels natural and the gameplay doesn't require explanation.
Freeze! Grab and throw the bullets.
This is one of the first VR demos that made me stand up and listen, being able to witness the freedom of gunplay that VR allowed. It's a testament to how well put together this is, that it's still turning heads even now. Of course, we now know that Bullet Train is a precursor to Robo Recall, a more fleshed out title coming from Epic Games that's dropping early this year. But even if at time of watching this you've already got to grips with their newest game and haven't tried Bullet Train yet, it's still worth having in the collection, even if it's for no other reason than to remember where it all started.
Simulation complete. Well done, Agent.
Next on the list we have is Arizona Sunshine. Yes, it is another zombie game, and yes, it is to some extent another wave shooter, albeit with some movement between areas. But what it does most importantly is create an immensely engaging environment to do those things in. In other words, it's not a bunch of levels or demos, it's an actual place, an environment for you to become part of in the way you might have imagined when you first heard of virtual reality.
Boom, check you out. You'll serve me well, my friend. Nice.
Your precarious situation is lightheartedly narrated by your character. Whilst ransacking vehicles for ammo or navigating a pitch black cave with a torch, you'll hear many of these smartly written quips. So smart, in fact, that a game with only a minor story is carried and paced perfectly, just with the odd sentence impeccably timed, and often echoing your own sentiment.
So damn hot. And Freddy over here trying to get a tan. Hey, Freddy, come on.
The gunplay is solid without being quite as on point as some other games, and there is a few complaints with the lack of locomotion choices right now. However, Arizona Sunshine takes great strides to put you in a beautiful and interesting environment, and really does sink its hooks into you. And that is perhaps why we sign up for VR, the promise of being whisked away to somewhere new, even if only for a short while. And Arizona Sunshine offers a great representation of that immersiveness.
Check it out. Oh, a winch, huh? Look at that. Oh, shit! Turn it off, turn it off. Fuck! Here they come!
Space Pirate Trainer is up there with the most polished and frenetic VR games going right now. Playing like a classic arcade cabinet, the game asks you to fight off multiple droids with a bunch of gun variations and gadgets. It's a simple concept and easy to grasp, but that's not to say it doesn't have depth. As with all wave shooters, it gets progressively difficult, and as the levels get higher, the more frantic and relentless the enemies become. Although this intense barrage is amplified and made more fun because of virtual reality. Being able to block shots with a shield to one side and returning fire on the other, the game counts on your awareness as well as your agility, and gives you a solid workout in the process. A bit more variety in location would have been nice, but the gameplay is smooth and the neon space backdrop looks fantastic. For anyone who loves climbing leaderboards and easy to pick up and play games, Space Pirate Trainer is easy to recommend and is one that you'll definitely be coming back to multiple times. Last up we have Superhot VR. The time-shifting title, originally conceived as a browser game, has grown considerably since then, and now finds its way into VR territory, a territory that feels like it was designed for all along. The premise is simple: time only moves when you do. With VR, this means you'll be firing guns and dodging bullets like you're starring in your favourite action movie, and the experience feels amazing.
Super hot. Super hot.
Despite the slow flow of time, the levels are quick-fire scenarios that sweep you from one to another between checkpoints. Make a single mistake and you'll have to go all the way back, which makes for some genuinely tense moments. There's also a certain amount of strategy involved. You'll be taking a moment to assess your surroundings, forming a plan, then using anything you can lay your hands on to take out your enemies. Finally, getting through a frustrating super hot sequence can be one of the most satisfying and mentally exhausting things you'll do in VR. Superhot VR is not only one of the finest shooters, but one of the finest VR games available right now, period. And aside from perhaps needing some more content, it stands up as one of the best examples that VR not only has its place, but can also take gaming to places that no other platform can. Okay, so that's some of the best VR shooters for Oculus Rift right now. There's plenty more out there, so if you want to talk about some, then drop us a comment and feel free to do all the usual liking and subscribing things. Thanks for watching, take care.